tremendous looking trophy.
Hello and welcome to Platinum Explosion, number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name's Number Light. Joining me, as always, Ashley Hobley.
Hey John, excited to be here. Even spirited, some would say.
Some would say. By the way, I think I just said Ashley instead of I didn't say that. I missed the H, but I don't think you noticed.
Listen,
but
I'm never going to give you up. I'm never going to let you down. I'm going to run around and desert you.
What a show. All right, thanks for joining us, everyone. Yeah, I know. In the trophy cabinet this week, Canna. I mean, there's a bunch of news to talk about. Well, not really a bunch. There's some news to talk about. We got the big piss PlayStation 5 update, that firmware update that dropped like the day after we recorded last week. We'll talk about that. But of course, the main thing this week is Canna, Bridge of Spirits. It is out. I've played it. I finished it.
Unbelievable, really.
It actually is for a number of reasons, including the lead time of which it was given to, and I had one of the higher ones somehow. But yeah, the game is out. We've been looking forward to it for a while because it was part of the original PlayStation 5
Reveal showcase.
Yeah. It's like I put it in the review.
Future of gaming.
Future gaming. Yeah, I looked it up, then I forgot. It's part of that, so everyone got super excited when it was revealed there. You know, like beautiful, stunning looking game. It's shown up at a bunch of con things, PlayStation events, showcases since then. It's got delayed like a million times. Also, unfortunately, the last couple of times were because they said because of COVID and just struggling to get the last final fixes on it. It's still been a pretty big year for the game because, of course, it was part of the inaugural Tribeca Games Award thing. It didn't win it, but it's still always forever in history be known as part of the inaugural selection of games that were on that. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, game's out, played it. I ended up giving it a 7 out of 10.
You hated it.
Yeah, I was about to say, which does mean I officially hated the game yet. But, of course it doesn't. 7 doesn't mean I hate it. 7 under our scale means it's okay. My quick summary would be that for everything that we thought it was going to be based off the trailers, if you thought it was a very pretty looking game, it's a very pretty looking game. If you thought it was sort of going to be a throwback title that gameplay reminiscent of, I don't know. I should put this in review. It actually reminded me of a PS2 game called like Kai. I can't remember what it was called. It was like Kai something. Anyway. Oh no, was that PS3? Fuck, I can't remember. Anyway, it's the gameplay design feels old, like slightly updated, but old. But of course, it looks really pretty, and that's kind of what you've got from all the trailers, and that's kind of what it is.
The Legend of K.
That's it. Do you remember that game?
No.
Fuck, that's it. There was like 2, I think. I think there was 2. I mean, it's not exactly like this, but for some reason, that's what I was thinking of. It did, yeah. Very specific franchise to call out. It's not exactly like the most famous franchise, but was that PS2 or PS3?
PS2, and then I got a PS3 port.
There you go. Deep cut. So, Canna Bridge of Spirits, here's the setup for people if you've missed the memo or whatever. And I guess I don't know if they've done a particularly good job of explaining this, but so you obviously play as Canna. She's a spirit guide. Her job or mission in life is she's the ghost whisperer, I guess, to a degree, you know, like she can help spirits cross over, and that's kind of the thing she has for some reason. The game doesn't really do a great job. Well, not that it needs to, but like it, as far as video games go, this game has like one of the like sort of just throws you straight into the deep end at the start. You're like, it's like the game's already been going for 5 hours and you just start and you're like, okay, like we're already on a mission. You missed the, like, why are we on this mission type thing? But Canna shows up at this forest and the village in the middle of it and discovers that everyone there has died, disappeared. And there's this huge like evil infection thing spreading throughout the forest and around it. And the game basically boils down to there's 3 main areas. And in each of those areas, there's a main corrupted spirit of one of the villagers who you want to save and set free. To do so in each of the 3 areas, You then have to find 3 sort of important mementos to that character, and then you're able to sort of fight their corrupted version in a big boss battle, and then after the fact you get to save them. Is the general going forward. Ultimately, your goal is to get up onto to this big snow mountain in the background and hopefully solve and put a stop to whatever caused the whatever happened to the village initially to help put a stop to that. So that's sort of the long go. Gameplay is a mix of puzzle platforming and action combat. The puzzle platforming stuff I actually probably would say I enjoyed the most. Even it's like it is the most sort of archaic throwback. There's a lot of like weird design stuff that you don't really see anymore, but I think I enjoyed that because it just felt different, even though it's not like new, but it felt like something I haven't played for a while. So that was good, and I enjoy that. There's nothing like super hard about the puzzles or what you're doing, but they just feel fun enough to do, especially when a lot of them are simply like you get the rot is what they call it, the little cutie fluffy critter things that we've all seen in the trailer. So you can order them around to do things, and some of the puzzles are simply like there'll be like 4 statues in an area, and you got to figure out which ones go where and what to do with them, or you order them to like activate things. You got to do it in the right order and whatnot. So you sort of control them to a degree. Another cool thing about them is, so you start the game and you get one, and then from then on you end some through story reasons, but otherwise they are one of the things you can find in the world, like secrets, and you can collect more. I think there's 100 total into the game. I'm like, I think 70, something like that. Yeah, like 70. As you get more, you sort of unlock the ability to unlock better combat and stuff like that. But they do sort of always follow you everywhere, which is funny. I was actually reading today on the PC version, apparently there is an option to turn down so there's not as many on the screen in case that might cause your computer to blow up, because there are times where, you know, if you can get 100 of these things
following
eventually,
once,
you got 100 little things around at some point, and they're not always directly behind you. Like, but it's funny how the game just makes them appear. Like, I know one time I was in the water and I activated photo mode because I was going to take a photo, and behind me there was probably like 15, 20 like directly sort of behind me. I could see them all, or the rot. But then also about 5 to 10 meters behind me in the distance, at a distance I wouldn't have noticed unless I activated photo mode, there was a bunch more that looked like they were drowning and struggling to swim. And I'm like, well, I would not have noticed this unless I entered photo mode. There's other times you can notice there'll be like some following you, and there might be others just magically sort of appearing on things around in the world or whatever. Like, the game does a pretty good job at explaining and have them just bop in and out, no matter how many you've managed to unlock. And you'll notice where they are too, because one of the other game's collectibles is hats. So you can unlock hats, and you can have every single one of the rot wearing the exact same hat if you want to do that, or you can have them all wearing completely different hats and all in their own little outfits.
So potentially 100 different rots.
100 different rots with 100
hats.
different hats. Yes. Or maybe there's not 100 hats, but I definitely feel like there's at least 50. So you could have at least 100 different rot with at least 50 different hats, I feel.
So
some duplicates. But there's 100 hats, 100 rots, ultimately. There's a lot of stuff happening. So all that exploration and stuff is great. The game looks beautiful, of course. I don't feel like that's really saying much at this stage because we've all seen a bunch of trailers, and it's kind of the given. I feel like anyone going into this game, they already accepted they like the way the game looks, and that's the part that they know going in. It's after the fact, like, do you like the story? Do you like the combat? Do you like the puzzles? They're like the more open-ended questions. The combat, that's probably the thing I didn't love the most. And I've been interested. I've read some other people's reviews. I found it quite interesting how people have gone about it. So I found it sort of infuriatingly like too hard in a way that didn't make sense for the game type or the combat system. So Kanna has a light and a heavy attack. Nothing too complicated. There's no like major combos here either. You know, like you're not Kratos. You're not like holding down the heavy attack to sweep the enemy up into the air and then start a chain combo and, you know, like perform a bunch of other attacks and all this sort of stuff. It is simply light attack, heavy attack. And the heavy attack takes like a second or so to wind up before it'll initiate. So I barely use that because you're just going to get hit before you can do it most of the time. You can unlock as you get currency from doing stuff, and there's like 20 upgrades, I guess. So you get a bow later, there's like 5 upgrades for that, there's 5 upgrades for basic combat, there's like 5 upgrades for the shield sort of thing. But so you can unlock like a jump and press R1 to do like a attack from the air, but it doesn't do like a bunch of damage. So overall, the combat's just not overly complicated or deep. But then when you get the rot involved, there are other abilities. So on normal mode, normal difficulty, you build. I can't remember what the fuck it's called. I've got it in this review somewhere. Rot Courage, right? So you build Rot Courage on normal difficulty by dealing damage and taking damage, and then like you'll get like a bar, and then the more rot you have, the more you can sort of store at a time. So that's another reason to look for more. Like you can. So where I was up to at the end of the game, I think I could have like 3 or 4 bars stored at one time, and you can use all these to get the rot to perform an action in combat. This can be a special attack you've unlocked, like a big hammer mystical attack thing that does a fuck ton of damage, and that's probably the best one to get, in my opinion. Get that as soon as you can. Does heaps of damage. But you also need a charge to even be able to heal. So like when you're in the middle of a battle, if you're in an arena fighting a boss battle, they'll sort of be placed in 4 corners of the arena, these little plant things that you can order the rot to go over to and crack, and they will fully restore your health. But to be able to do that, you still need a rot charge. So if you're running low on health, and even if you've got 4 of these plants around the battlefield, you're like, fuck, I don't have a rot charge, and then you're dead. You're like, oh, well, that sucked. So that's an interesting thing. And then in the basic combat, I think the one thing that sort of annoyed me the most is by the time you get to the end of the game, there are some rather intense boss fights where the enemies move really fast and they do like a flurry of attacks and whatnot. But I just found the parry timing window to be off. And this is one thing I'll complain about forever and eternity in any game that has a parry system, where if you fuck up the parry system, it just completely ruins the experience. Like, I don't care what game or type, like the most basic thing is like, if it just doesn't feel right, if it feels like it's just not working the way it should be, you're just going to become frustrated, which is how I felt about this. So then I ended up just wanting to press circle to dodge around more, which is annoying because I'm fine with parrying and, like I play these Demon Souls and Dark Souls and Bloodborne and whatever else. Like I know what feels good in the parry window, and this isn't it. I'm not saying this game needs to be Dark Souls. I'm just saying get the parry timing down so it kind of feels better. I'd say it doesn't feel great here. So by the time I reached the last boss, where I was just getting my ass handed to me several times in a row, and I was just struggling with the system, and I was like, this isn't fun, fuck this. I just switched it down to easy and finished the game. But the most frustrating thing to me was that when you go down to story mode, easy difficulty, it is super easy. Like too easy. You can just basically take all the damage you want. Your Rot Courage recharges passively. It recharges when you deal damage. It recharges when you get hit. So you're constantly having Rot Courage to basically just spam special attacks, and no matter what. So then it became super easy. Whereas on normal, I was like, oh no, I need a little bit more leeway here, or the enemies to do a little bit less damage or something. I just feel like they're unbalanced to a degree. One's too easy, the other one's a bit too hard to be normal. Like, I don't know. This is the thing. And then my other main complaint for it was I just didn't particularly fall in love with Kenna or like the general story here. It's sort of like they've done a weird thing where the characters that you are learning about, these infected villagers, infected spirits, as you learn more about them by just playing through the story in general, by exploring, and you can actually find optional memories from them in the environment that are hidden, and you can find those. And I'll show you like little cinematic clips of stuff they were doing prior to everything going to shit. By watching when you actually do fight them, you'll see like a several minute cutscene that explains how they ended up where they are and what happened. Like between all of this, that was just like some of the best stuff in the game. You get these like beautifully animated cinematics that show you about these characters. You learn more about them. All those characters are great. I'm like, I love all these characters. I could tell you everything I know about them. But then when I come back to Kenna, she just feels so like she could have been anyone else. Like in my review, I feel like she could have just been a player-created character. Because the one time the game tells you something about her, which is like near the end of the game, they tell you something about her or hint at something from her past, like a little thing that we never come back to. That's obviously left open for a sequel, I guess, or whatever. That's the only time. Otherwise, because Kenna's just like listening to characters most of the time. She does say stuff, but she's just sort of passively going through this. It doesn't really at all feel like Kenna's game. It feels like it's the villagers'
She just
game.
feels like a proxy for the player.
Yeah. Which is, it meant I got sort of disattached when often you have these segments where you could be playing the game for 30, 45 minutes without learning about some of the other villagers or watching one of these cutscenes, and you've just got this 30, 45 minutes of Kenna, and there's no one really for her to talk to. She's not like overly, I don't know, she's just feels bland. I don't know, like, just feels like a weird missed opportunity to have this, especially when the game's called like Kenna, Bridge of Spirits. Like, okay, I feel like Kenna should be more front and center, and there could be a bit more time spent on making her an interesting character, you know? But I'll say that the one tease thing they give towards the end of the game about Kenna, that is interesting. The thing I'm talking about is more than just like a little hint. Like, it is a cutscene, and it's a little thing that happens, and I'm like, here we go, stuff is happening. And then we get dragged back into the story of the villagers and everything. And then we never went back to it. I was like, okay. Okay. This is as far as we went. So, I feel like I found it a little bit more frustrating or let down, obviously, in the story than other people are, because I've seen other people calling it, like, it's been getting some 10s and stuff I've seen.
Yeah.
People
think it's got like an 80 something on Metacritic.
Yeah.
Open critic, yeah.
And I even saw one person say that this is I can't remember who it was, but I did see someone's like review quote was something about it being the PS5 exclusive, better than Ratchet, better than all this and all that, whatever else. I'm like, whoa, you fucking feel so much higher about this than I do. Like, I wish I felt like how you felt, because obviously I've been really looking forward to this. I'm not disappointed, because like, I'm pretty good at just I can get excited for games these days and just still keep my final, how I'm not gonna come across.
I mean, it couldn't hurt you as badly as Skatebird just did. So
actually, Skatebird was an actual legit disappointment. Like, to be as let down by that, like, I wish Skatebird was a fucking 7. How are you feeling about what I've said? Have you looked at any other reviews? General reaction?
No, I haven't really had time to read anybody else's reviews and that kind of stuff, but obviously just seeing scores and that kind of stuff, it's positive. It sounds like it's like obviously a first game for one of these kind of studios. They didn't necessarily, well, for certain people, they knocked it out of the park and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I think the thing that sprung to mind is obviously you had issues with like the story and that. But then you also had issues with like Luca earlier this year and Soul last year, which are also beautifully animated projects. It's like,
do I just hate animated things?
I don't know, but other people love those a lot. I wasn't flash hot on those either, but so as much as Dylan doesn't like this, there's a potential that you might love it. So
my favorite,
maybe you like bland character.
If you like Raven the Fireflies,
no. Artie was right.
Oh my
God. Is Kenna ever given the option to go to school and like not starve in the middle of nowhere? No, that's not part of the story. No, okay.
But I mean, there's heaps of animated movies I like. You're just like calling out the two specific ones that I haven't liked in recent memory that other people did, and I didn't even like hate those.
No, I just obviously those are massive, beautiful Pixar films, and this is obviously a visual, probably one of the prettiest looking PS5 games, I would say.
Yeah,
and seems to be the general opinion. So
it is very pretty. I'm not arguing about its prettiness.
Yeah,
pretty.
So if you like looking at pretty things, and Kind of.
I will also shout out the Jason Gallaty, his soundtrack for this. Fucking good shit. I reckon it's like going to be the lead for sort of for soundtrack of the year. I reckon it's fucking up there. Because there's constantly sort of music playing and it does a very good job at sort of keeping you in the mood of feeling like you're playing a cinematic experience, which sort of also that means it's one of those games where if you take a moment to sort of go explore and try find side stuff, it's like you kind of lose the momentum. But if you're always like moving through the story, there always seems to be music playing at the right time, sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, 7 is a fine score. I don't think it's that fucking bad. Like, come on now,
come on, people,
come on. 7's okay. I had a lot of fun in the photo mode, and that's probably one of the other things. Yeah. They only announced the photo mode like literally a couple of, like last night, prior to the game's release on Tuesday, and I was like, why'd you just keep this a secret? Because when I booted up the game,
everybody loves photo mode.
Yeah, when I boot up the game and it's like there's a thing about a photo mode, I was like, wait, what? Because you can turn around and do a selfie, and you can press a button to make the character smile or switch animations. So Ken will like put up like a peace sign, or you can have other characters like do that or smile or look away or like pose and stuff like that. So it's a fun little nifty thing for a pretty game to have like this, to have a photo mode for sure. Yeah, Kenna out now, PS4s as well, PC. I would presume it runs sort of average on PS4, to be completely honest. I played it on, worth noting, I did play it in performance mode, which is the default. So that's 60 frames per second, upscale 4K. There is a cinematic or whatever mode, graphics mode, that's 30, locked at 30, but 4K resolution. So whatever you want to do. But I mean, it's a sort of, as I said, the combat does get quite fast paced, and if you want to attempt to nail those parries, even though I still don't think they feel right, you will need that 60 frames per second. Maybe if I was playing out in 30 frames, I could have had a legit, someone could have called me out and said, well, if you was playing on 60, you might have been able to do it, but nope. Yeah. Are you planning to play this, by the way? Or what's your...
potentially. Yeah, it just depends on how long it takes to get through Deathloop. And then whatever, if I'm still feel like playing it after that.
Fair enough.
Whether I just go back to grinding in Hades.
Alright, let's get into some news stories. Firstly, the PlayStation system software the first massive PS5 update, basically. That's what we're going to do.
Dylan. Vertical trophies.
That is the main thing. So
everything else pales in comparison to that.
So what we're about to run through is this original story I wrote up when they announced this on the PlayStation blog, right? And in that list of things, they did not include the fact they had vertical trophies in it, which I was very disappointed, because people who were on a beta thing for the update or whatever there was vertical trophies in it. And I was just like, maybe they're like pushing it into a small update after the fact. Maybe they couldn't get it all wrapped up into this one. And then when the update went out, check trophies, vertical trophies. They just sneakily added it. It wasn't listed.
Do you know if you can go back to horizontal trophies?
I believe you can, I think. I haven't checked because you know what? I don't want to. Have I covered this? By the way, if people are like, why is this a big deal? The main thing is that if you went into your trophy list on the current PS5 prior to this, you know, all those big flashy icons going horizontally, right? It was definitely done by someone who designed it going solely on a how's it look factor. Because you got these nice big trophy images and whatever else, and it looked nice, yes. But for people who actually want to get the trophies and want to be able to, at a glance, read the description of what you need to do for said trophy, you always had to open the trophy to be able to see all the text. Whereas now, going back to a vertical list, you can read that at a glance for several trophies, one page, easy. It's way more, makes more sense. Because I swear some people are like, why? I'm like, that's why. Like, there's a legit reason. It's not like a look factor. It's a, what's the fucking word? It's a
practical.
Practical, yeah. It's like a practical factor. Yeah. So that is very good. All right. Let's run down some other stuff. M.2 SSD support officially is out now. Of course, that was a big sort of the major flagship thing, I guess, as part of the update. Bunch of people have been testing it already because it was part of the beta. As far as I know, no one's ever said anything bad. It's fairly simple. We sort of covered it before, I think. The installation is fairly simple. As long as the hard drive or the SSD that you buy has a cooler installed, it's simple, super simple, where you sort of just unscrew one screw, place it in, then screw it back in. You have to take the cover off, of course, but the PS5 cover just lifts off fairly easily. So I don't think it's that complicated. Of course, it is a little bit more work than putting extra storage into an Xbox Series X, which people like to compare it to. Yes, that is a thing right in the back of the console. Yes, that is simpler. I still don't think this is too hard. I have ordered one because I was like, fuck it. Can't be fucked waiting. I have ordered a 500 gigabyte SSD to upgrade to put into my console. So whenever that gets here, you can hear I'll tell you exactly how hard it was, if it wasn't hard at all. I was like, do I want more than that? And I was like, probably not, because I'm quite happy to delete stuff once I'm done with it, but I just need that little bit more. You know what I mean? I just want that little bit more. So I feel like 500 gigabytes just gives me that breathing room, and I pair that with the external SSD I got anyway, where I'm storing all my PS4 games on an external drive. So then I'd have 1.5 total for sort of PS5. I guess also for like game captures until I take them off and put them on USB onto my computer. When I'm reviewing a game or whatever. So I'm like, I feel like that's just like the perfect size I need. Are you still planning to wait? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm still planning to wait. So I'm not installing as many games at a time as you. So
you're also someone.
Although I've got Mass Effect collections just sitting there.
I was going to say, you're also someone who I think from memory just likes to install a billion games at once, right? You keep them on there forever.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I thought. Another new feature, Control Center. You can now customize it. So this is something that people have been asking about since the PS5 releases. So the most important factor of this, and I have done it too, even though I got used to it, well, I'm like, nah, fuck it, is I did move the power off button from I've got it down bottom left, so I can sort of do that. I've removed my friends list icon and my profile icon, so they're now next to each other and they're sort of the first up from left to right on the thing. And I've removed stuff like network, accessibility, music, some like a bunch of those icons that I don't use, never use. You can get them back out if you ever want them, of course. They're not like gone forever, but you can clean up your home bar control center thing now, be how you want it, with as many icons as you do or do not need. You can't add shortcuts to other like settings and stuff, but of the ones that PlayStation has available, you do what you want. Have you changed anything on yours or?
No.
Come on now.
I mean, the thing I would probably do is just move the power to the other side.
Well, it's easy. You hold one button down.
Yeah.
They've updated the friends menu, so it's a bit more cleaner now. You can see who's online, what they're doing. You can pop open the message chat without having to go into the full message chat. It's just a little bit easier. Another huge change now is that PS5 and PS4 games, even if they're the same game, are listed separately when you're scrolling through both your game library and across your home menu. So if you, for some reason...
They also clearly state if they're a PS4 or PS5 game.
Clearly state, and you can, like, if you own Ghost of Tsushima or whatever, whatever you own, that's if you've got 2 copies of it, and if you go install both now, you'll have them side by side on your home menu. Usually the icons are slightly different anyway, or most developers, I guess, have done slightly different icons for the 2 games. But yeah, it'll clearly state PS4 or PS5. They'll be side by side. You can't accidentally open another one. You no longer have to press options, switch to PS4, switch to PS5, whatever, even if you had both installed. They're there. You can delete what you want, keep what you want. It's way easier. So that's really good. A new setting in audio output now lets you output 3D audio from your TV settings. This is something they announced way back when I think they revealed the PlayStation. I think it was one of the key talking points, or maybe it was during that Mark Cerny speech thing where he spoke to cardboard cutouts, that fucking thing, at a game developers conference thing. Yeah. So it basically, I've tried it. I think it just sounds weird to me. I just don't think it sounds, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm used to headphones. I'm like, it just sounds off, but it's really easy to set up. You literally go into settings, you toggle it on, you tell your TV to play a test sound that sounds like a bunch of really annoying high-pitched sort of beeps and whatever, and you are told to hold the controller there so the controller's mic can read the audio like bouncing back off your walls or whatever. It tells you not to have any other noises in your room when you do it, so you can get a good idea of your room or whatever. So, and that's sort of how it reads it, and then it adjusts the settings accordingly. So, I don't know, give it a go. You'll now also be able to watch your friend's share screen on your mobile device instead of having it be part of your game screen. So people who like to use this feature, I think that is a better use of it. So you can sort of open the app up now and then have it on that while you're chatting to them and playing different games or the same game at the same time. And then you don't have to have their game in the corner. I mean, if you still want it in the corner, you can have it in the corner, but you don't have to have it in the corner. And then the other thing, of course, we talked about this before, is that your trophies. So you now have, you can now have trophy track. You can have the trophy tracker pin up to 5 trophies per game through the control center. So you can quickly check how you're progressing on 5 key trophies. And the example I gave last time, the example I'll give this time is that if you're playing something like Uncharted that has a bunch of trophies that usually like kill X people with this gun, like for all the guns in the game, or something similar to that, this is one of those ones where it's going to be good just be able to pin those, the ones you're working on, and you don't have to constantly like cycle through the trophy list to find that one and check where you're at on it. And this will be more important, I think, as we continue forward, where we're getting more actual PS5 games that have the trophies integrated with the tracking for stuff like collectibles, weapon kills, that sort of stuff. So that's good. This is definitely a good one. I can see being quite handy in the future for trophy hunters. They've added a leader accolade now, so I still haven't got any of these. Motherfuckers, give me some accolades online. It's only because I only play with people who are on my friends list, I guess. Then you've got the personal best capture thing now, so the game will now capture a video kind of like how it does for trophies. If you do something like Astrobot's leaderboard run things and you best your best time or your best of friend's time or whatever, it'll now capture that in a video if you'd like to share it. So that is new functionality as well.
So yeah, you got video footage of you beating somebody instead of just them getting notified that you beat them.
Yes. And you don't have to remember to save it yourself if you want to share it on Twitter. It'll just capture it nicely for you. So there you go. There's a bunch of updates there. Probably some of the small things that were amongst the weeds that I missed or whatever else, but yeah, that's all that. Shoutout says Sony announced a new Pulse 3D headset. It's getting a midnight black variant to match the controller. So if you've brought the black controller and you want to get the black Pulse headset to match, you do that. It's coming out. Pre-orders are up. Comes out this month at some point. So do that. God of War. Let's get into God of War. 2 stories for God of War this week. Firstly, IGN writes, God of War director explains why there will be only 2 games in the North Saga. So yes, after all the confusion, apparently this is how we're going. 2 games. This is it. They're at Sony Santa Monica Studios. Corey Barlog, director of 2018's God of War, has opened up on why there will only be 2 games in the series' Norse mythology saga, stating that he wanted to avoid delaying the story's conclusion to a decade after it started. In an interview with Captain Cuba on YouTube, Barlog spoke about why he decided that the story of Kratos and Atreus would be told over just 2 games rather than a trilogy or anything longer, saying, quote, I think one of the most important reasons is the first game took 5 years. The second game, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm just going to throw out that it's going to take close to a similar time. Then if you think a third one in that same time frame, we're talking a span of close to 15 years of a single story. I feel that's just too stretched out. I feel like we're asking too much to say the actual completion of that story is taking too long. It feels too long. Given where the team was at the end, where Eric was at with what he wanted to do, I was like, look, I think we can actually do this in the second story because most of what we were trying to do from the beginning was to tell something about Kratos and Atreus, that the core of the story's engine is really the relationship between these 2 characters. With one storyline being told throughout the two games, Barlog likens the idea of fans being able to play through the series to his own experience of purchasing the Lord of the Rings box set for the first time. Same quote, I was able to say, wow, I can sit down and have 13 and a half hours of this experience, playing them one after another, back to back. And I just thought that was fantastic and amazing. So to be able to say, hey man, you could probably start God of War 2018 and then play God of War Ragnarok and feel like you're getting the entirety of the story. I kind of want that to happen before my kid is in college. How do you feel about God of War? This, now that we know it's just 2 games.
I mean, yeah, if they can fit enough, if I would prefer them to make 2 games than stretch out the story just so they can make 3. You know what I mean? I think, yeah, if they've got enough story beats and enough story, as long as it makes sense and everything in 2 games, sure, make it in 2 games. I think obviously there is a thing in the culture of everything needs to be a trilogy, everything needs to be 3 movies. You know, I think stories just need to be however long the stories are. But yeah, I'm fine with that, and at least we know. I guess we kind of know going in that we're not going to end on like a cliffhanger. But yeah, so yeah, I'm happy with that. You know, and it seems odd to. Your next game's called Ragnarok. I don't know how do you go up from Ragnarok? The end of all things.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree. I think
Love and Thunder, apparently.
Yeah, well, it's true actually. Yeah, I think it's fine. It's a weird thing for people. People are already getting upset. You know, you see online people upset. Oh no. Like, well, you don't even know if you'd want another one after this. Like, for all you know, you could play this and be like, yeah, I'm God of War out. Like, this could be too much. So you're like, I'm good for like another 10 years. I don't want another God of War for 10 years kind of thing. So,
and it's not like they're not going to make another God of War game.
Yeah, but it might be 10 years and there might be a different saga or whatever. By the way, that's my only weird thing I hate about it. I just hate that it's called a saga and it's 2 things.
Yeah.
It's just a weird, like, terminology thing. I'm like, I don't know. When I think saga, I don't know.
Like 6.
Yeah, I was about to say 4,
at least
4 plus, yeah. 4 plus is the saga. Because it's like, you go sequel, trilogy, saga. And saga can be 4, 5, 6, 7, you know. So.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. All right. And then also, DualShockers writes, God of War Ragnarok may release as early as March next year. God of War Ragnarok has been listed in the coming soon section of the PlayStation Network and might be hitting stores earlier than expected. God of War Ragnarok is one of the most discussed games on various forums since its announcement. The God of War enthusiasts are eagerly discussing the lore aspects, main antagonists, and release dates for the upcoming game. On that note, Sony has similarly listed the game on the official PlayStation Network under the coming soon column. The game joins the likes of upcoming popular games like Far Cry 6, Battlefield 2042, and obviously slated to release near the end of this year. In addition to the game, the addition of the game nearly 2 weeks after official announcement puts a question in everyone's mind. Is God of War Ragnarok releasing much earlier than we've been expecting? Do you think this is anything to go off? Or just stirring the rumor pot?
I think it's just stirring the rumor. I doubt they would release God of War a month after Horizon. I think they want to give it a little... If they're going to go early, I think the earliest is April. I feel like they gave at least 2 months between Last of Us and Ghosts. That would have worked out well for both games. So
it was barely. It wasn't like a month and a half just, or I don't know, like 6 weeks maybe.
Maybe.
Fuck, it was close.
Yeah, but yeah, there was a fair amount of breathing room though.
But I'll tell you what, after going through that, I feel like a month is enough time for the, I guess if you want to call it like hardcore gamers or whatever the fucking subclass you want to go. But for people who are playing through like a lot of games, I feel like and rotate through like something like a Last of Us or whatever in under a week, a month is enough to go, all right, I'm good. What's the next one? Give it to me. Especially these days between games, movies, streaming services and everything else. Everyone like gets through shit quickly and they go, where's the next thing? So I don't even feel like a month is like too close to release something potentially. You know?
No, I just think even financially, it's like, hey, let's move it to April so then it's in our 4th quarter for the financial year. Yeah.
We shall.
I don't think you'd put them both in the same quarter.
No.
For financial reasons, whatever.
Find out soon. Maybe. Hopefully. Don't know. Probably not going to have another PlayStation event this year. Maybe Game Awards. I don't know. So, yeah. Random thing, Shatter remaster apparently coming to current gen consoles. So, is this a game you know of or no? No.
Nope.
Okay, so I read up the story about it because I was like, this is like an OG PS3 classic. Like back when there was like 6 downloadable games on the PlayStation Network. You know, like back when there was. These days, kids don't know. You got all these games, digital downloads, fucking a million, right? There was a stage where it was like fucking Xbox done Bastion and whatever else, and PlayStation's like, we're gonna get some shit going to it. So Shatter was said game, one of said early sort of games. It's a brick breaking action game, or like it's a variant of a brick breaker, and there's like bosses and whatever else. It had a really great soundtrack. It was done by a New Zealand team. Anyway, it disappeared. But I missed this memo that apparently they're bringing it back, because back in 2018 during the reset era, one of the developers on it said that they originally wasn't paying to do it, but then after all this back and forth and people still talking and whatever else, they said that they were looking to bring it to a new life, and basically goes on to discuss how they've we're working on it. That was in 2018, and then that thread got a most recent update this last week, where they said that person said, we spun up an internal team about a month ago to handle the remaster aspects of the exercise. That includes reworking the user onboarding, UI, color grading, effects menus, etc. We're also looking at whether a 5.1 audio mixer soundtrack is viable. Can't talk about platforms, pricing, or release timing as of yet, other than say early next year is the window to keep an eye on. Later in the thread, someone also asked about VR, but apparently that is not a thing that's going to be happening. So I would say this is one to keep an eye on. If this actually releases, finishes, and comes out early next year as is apparent, then I'm going to say that this could be for people who missed it. If you like your arcadey, brick-breaking type games, this one has a bomb-ass soundtrack. You can still go listen to it on Spotify or where the fuck Bandcamp it's on, I think. Great soundtrack, great brick-breaking game, and a classic, a return to form. So I'll keep your eyes on that one. PlayStation, continuing on fucking bullshit rumor mills, but let me just start one. Let me start my own. I wrote up the story last week. PlayStation Now could be launching in Australia following an ad spotted alongside new job listings. So basically the through line for this is, I see who fucking wrote the original story. So PSU reported that New Zealand PlayStation website has a dedicated PlayStation Now page. True Trophies corroborated that story and got a screenshot of the advertisement spotted for PlayStation Now on the New Zealand store page. Although that page, when I tried to go to it, now led to a 404 link, and the banners, of course, had been taken down after the fact. They had the proof. It was 2 separate. There was a couple of different sites writing about it. Blah, 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 blah. So I was like, oh, yeah, this is right. It's been a while since we've had some good old PlayStation Now rumor mill thing going.
Oh, yeah, PlayStation Now.
Yeah, remember that was a thing?
Sony's streaming service. So then I was like, you know what, let me just do some quick Googling, because of course then I was like, what happened to that thing in Adelaide, which we talked all the way back in 2019. And in case people have forgot that story, I paid way too much money for a subscription to the Adelaide whatever newspaper so I could read their article about Adelaide Advertiser.
There you go. I paid a subscription to the Adelaide Advertiser so I could read an article on here and get some snippets of it to talk about how Sony was building a place there basically for cloud streaming and infrastructure and all this sort of shit. We talked about that in 2019, and then they made it way too hard to quickly unsubscribe, and I end up paying for it for like several months by accident, and the whole story
just lining Rupert Murdoch's pockets.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I ended up just like buying him a new hotel probably by the time I actually had to ring up and cancel that subscription, because they didn't allow you to do it via the internet, because they wanted to they need you to know why. They need to know why you want to cancel it. Anyway, so I was like, it's been a while. What the fuck? And I hadn't really thought about it. So I was like, what happened to that place in Adelaide? So I did some Googling. And I found some recent job descriptions that were up. So I was like, oh, let's just jump right down the fucking the rumor hole. Kick one up here. So they had a job listing. PlayStation had a job listing for a business operation coordinator Adelaide a month ago. And the listing stated the opportunities for Sony Interactive Entertainment Australia Future Technology Group. Description of which sounds like PS Now material to me, and it reads as part of Sony Interactive Entertainment Future Technology Group, is leading the cloud gaming revolution, putting console quality video games on any device, from TVs to consoles to mobile devices and beyond. Another job listing was posted just a week ago for a full-time senior system engineer at PlayStation Adelaide. Description on the job says, at PlayStation, we're leading a revolution in cloud gaming as we push the boundaries of what's possible. Would you like to use your skills, time, and passion on meaningful projects that are building the future? We're looking for engineers who want to make a difference, love automating everything they can get their hands on, and enjoy working with creative, intelligent, and collaborative teammates. If that sounds like something you would love to do, we want to hear from you. There's also a position posted for a service reliability engineer posted 3 weeks ago alongside a staff software engineer position, which was posted a week ago. So, and then I also found the dude who says, he seems he was like in a business management or what, like there was a job title that made him sound like he was the boss. And on his LinkedIn page, because good old LinkedIn, it said he'd been working at this place since, I think it was March. No, did I write it in here? I can't remember. It said he'd been working there for like March 2017 or something like that is when his position started. So that's prior to covering that story. That's prior to, I guess, the place even being built. But there we go. What make you of my tinfoil article? Are we still aboard PlayStation Now? Is it coming soon? Do all the job positions ramping up mean that's coming soon? Does it mean it's still ages away?
I think it. I can't guarantee it's coming soon. You know, it definitely reads like, yeah, we're still building. You know, we're still building up a team. But it could just be we're hiring people to keep it running because it's pretty much the people who were in those positions left because it's all set up, ready to go. I guess it just depends on timing on when PlayStation will announce it because obviously there's a few places that obviously don't have PS Now. I think it's only America, Canada, and Europe that currently have it. So that's a fair portion of the world that doesn't have it. And I would suspect if they were going to do a proper relaunch, which you'd want to do with a worldwide launch, that would be something they'd want to do all together once everybody's ready. Which is tricky because I'm assuming everybody's internet all over the world is quite different.
Well, I mean, I'm like, they wouldn't be building something here to help another part of the world.
I mean, hypothetically, they could just be building servers for multiplayer. But then why do you mention cloud gaming?
Yeah, it says bringing to mobile phones, TVs, and gaming devices. Like it literally says bringing stuff to everywhere. So I'm going to say like it's just coming.
Just through a remote play.
Hopefully. I'm going to say next year. I'm going to say we get PS Now in 2022.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going off. It's been long enough. That seems like a lot of quick jobs. Unless everyone quit at the same time, it sounds like ramping up. You know.
Yeah.
They had a core team to help build the infrastructure, and now they're sort of ramping up to get more people in there to go for the sort of finish line, which is often sort of what happens, I guess. So I'm going to say next year. I'm going to say there's still a bit of work to do. But PS Now, 2022, Australia, New Zealand. You heard it first. It's coming next year. Exclusive. All right, PlayStation Productions. 2 stories. No Uncharted. Sorry. Still waiting on a trailer. VG247 writes, some The Last of Us TV series episodes will be directed by Neil Druckman. Neil Druckman have a credit as one of the directors for the first season of The Last of Us TV series. An updated production list on the Directors Guild of Canada website has revealed. The Naughty Dog co-president creative director will take his place as one of the 5 directors for the first season, VGC picked up today. The first season is expected to tackle events that happened in the first game, with maybe some content from The Last of Us Part 2 making its way into. So it makes sense that Druckman has been intimately involved in the series at Naughty Dog as a writer since it first appeared in 2013, will take up directorial duties on the show. How do you feel about Druckman jumping into directing live action, non-game shit?
I mean, yeah, it's exciting for him. I'm sure it's an opportunity to stretch his directing abilities. I'm sure directing games is quite different to directing movies. One, you can't do unlimited takes and like people aren't. There's actual props and lighting and stuff. So, but other than that, I mean, I'm sure it's mostly the same from that. But yeah, I'm feel good for him. Hopefully, it's an episode that's like close to his heart and like, much in the way that I guess the comparison that immediately comes to mind is what's his name from Star in The Mandalorian, Dave Filoni.
Oh right, yeah.
Directing episodes of that. It's like, yeah, you've been part of this project, part of this universe for so long, and now you get the opportunity to direct in live action. It's like, yeah, it's cool.
Maybe it's the finale. Would they give him such a? Would they trust him with such a thing? No.
No, I in my mind, it'd be cool if it's like some like important side story, like, or like if it was the story of Left Behind or something.
Do you reckon I'd flashback to Left Behind?
Sure, why not?
I guess so, maybe. Yeah, I'm keen. See how it goes. Just be interesting to see which episode it is. I guess that's a key thing. Another piece of news this week was Polygon writes Twisted Metal TV series cast Anthony Mackie as post-apocalyptic milkman. Sony PlayStation Productions has found one of its leads for a live-action Twisted Metal series. The new Captain America, and spoilers, Anthony Mackie will be at the center of Twisted Metal's card-based mayhem, Deadline reported Wednesday. The series will follow Mackie as John Doe, a wisecracking milkman hired to deliver a package across a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Along his journey, he'll meet some of Twisted Metal's most famous characters, including Sweet Tooth, the demonic clown with the flaming head, and his ice cream truck, and probably a few new faces as well. John Doe in Twisted Metal Black was an unremarkable driver of the car Roadkill, whose defining characteristics were his amnesia and his tattoos. Other than some of the characters, it doesn't seem like the new TV series will take many cues from the video games they're based on, other than the premise. Then again, the Twisted Metal franchise, which has had its last entry in 2012, was always about the idea of vehicular destruction, then chaos, then a story. The series is based on a take on PlayStation video game franchise from writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, who were behind Zombieland, both Deadpool movies, and 6 Underground. So, yeah. How do you feel about this, Anthony Mackie in Twisted Metal?
I mean, yeah, it sounds alright. I mean, I don't know much about Twisted Metal, but hopefully get to see a bit more of the Anthony Mackie that we see in like press interviews and that kind of stuff, and like the wisecracking, like making fun of Tom Holland version of Anthony Mackie. That could be fun to see on screen, rather than
super serious.
Of course, we got the Sam Wilson.
The role he plays now and everything, just Sam Wilson.
Yes. Remember him in Pain and Gain?
Yes. Bad movie. I don't like it, but yes. Yeah, I'm weirdly keen for this, I guess. I feel like if it's just Twisted Metal but Zombieland, or like Zombieland but Twisted Metal, however you want to put it, surely that's open to be a successful thing. It just have to be wild. It just has to be completely ridiculous. It has to be weird. It has to be bullshit.
It has to be like Fast and Furious on steroids.
Yeah. It has to be fucked up too.
Without the family.
And it has to be a bit fucked up too. I don't mean like horror movie, but like I reckon get a little bit fucked up, get a little bit weird. With the type of characters there in Twisted Metal, you have to get a bit weird. MA 15 plus at least.
Okay.
No?
Like what type of weird?
Just get a little bit creepy. You got this fucking sick clown character. Get a little bit fucked up. I don't know. Have him just like make creepy clown. Don't go for like weird comedic clown. Go for like that's sort of scary.
It.
Yeah. Go for like fucked up weird shit. Get Rob Zombie to direct this shit. Yeah? No? Okay. That'll do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. Let us know any comments, questions, or concerns you have about this week's episode. You can find us on Twitter by heading to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. Find us on Discord, explosionnetwork.com/Discord. And if you like this episode and thought it was worth $1, head on over to explosionnetwork.com/support to leave us $1 and or more. It'd be greatly appreciated. And until next week, remember, every trophy counts. By the way, Kenna has a trophy for beating the game on Master difficulty, which you do not unlock until you've beaten the game at least once. And in that difficulty, every time you take a hit, it takes away some of your rot meter. So get fucked.
So no, not getting a platinum.
Unless someone finds a way to cheese it.
You just need to be master level for like the last 10 seconds of the boss fight.
I just get fucked now. Hey, don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com, and please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.